Hello again. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, and today we're going to be doing a review of the official Arduino starter kit. So if you've been following me for any length of time, you know I'm trying to get more into that IoT world, start doing more classes again, and of course, Arduino and Raspberry Pi and these type of devices are what the cool kids are playing with now. So I decided to dive right in, and as a good old geek, I went out there and I bought a starter kit. Now, some people may look at me buying a starter kit and say, "Oh, this proves why Eli's not a real computer guy. Real computer guys would have gone out there and bought each individual transistor on their own so that they could have saved money." Well, the reason that I bought a starter kit is because, honestly, as a real technology professional, my time is worth a little bit of money. I'm not saying my time is worth Bill Gates or Steve Jobs type money, but it's worth a couple of bucks. And one of the nice things with going out and buying starter kits, or people laugh at me for buying dummies books, is you go and you pay for this thing, but then it gives you everything that you need to be able to jump in and to be able to understand the environment that you're going to be working in. So if you've never dealt with an Arduino before, you need to know, how do you code for an Arduino? What does code for an Arduino look like? Okay, you've got all of these pins. What does that actually do for you? And by having a kit, then you can just dive in. This has 15 individual projects that takes you through a lot of the different capabilities for the Arduino. You can go through, you can do paint by numbers. You go, oh, okay, that's how you do it. And then you can go from there. I personally like the Arduino, and this is actually an Arduino official Arduino starter kit, because again, one of the problems we run into when we try to save money, especially on things like starter kits, is the question is do you know if the components themselves are working? So many times when you're learning a new technology, you don't know if you miscoded something or if the hardware you're using is broken. So if you go out there, and you might be able to buy a unofficial Arduino starter kit for, let's say, $30 or something, but are you sure the transistors are going to work right? Are you sure the Arduino board itself, everything is going to be functional on it? There is just a quality control with buying the official thing. Officially, this says it's $99. I personally went over to Micro Center and purchased this for $85. So honestly, when I look at this, you get the start. So the starter kit comes with all the components that you need for 15 projects, including a pretty detailed book that goes into it, plus the Arduino board and everything else. I got this for $85. So literally for less than I used to charge for 1 hour of labor back in 2009, I get the entire kit and I can just jump right in. So at least for me, that makes a lot of sense. If you're interested in this, if you go over, you take a look at arduino.cc, they actually have, and you can see this is the official Arduino starter kit. It goes through, it explains everything that you get to do, getting to know your tools, levometers, mood cues, motorized pinwheels, so on and so forth. So I think overall this is a good product. And so we're going to be just doing an overall review of this so you have an idea of, if you buy this for yourself, what you should expect out of it. Now, before we get into the review, we do have to talk about our sponsors, because the sponsors are who pays the bills. We have Cumulus Networks. Cumulus Networks wants to know your thoughts on web scale networking. Fill out their survey and you could win an Apple Watch. CumulusNetworks.com/Eli. Geist builds and delivers rack PDUs ultra quick in as few as 5 days for standard units. Made in America. #sexyPDUs. GeistGlobal.com. Veeam, free backup for PCs, VMs, and Linux, all at Veeam.com. Dev Mountain. Dev Mountain is a 12-week web development, iOS, and UX design bootcamp intended to get a full-time job in the industry. Learn to code at devmountain.com. INE specializes in network training with hands-on labs, on-site bootcamps that are focused on delivering the best in online networking courses at INE.com. Plixer, with Scrutinizer and flow data, users can determine what traffic is on the network, who is originating traffic, and who is receiving it at Plixer.com. And finally, Gilware Data Recovery. Gilware partners with IT professionals to offer their end users data recovery services and digital forensics. Find out more at Gilware.com. As I always say, don't really care if you thumb up, thumb down, or leave a comment, but if you click on those sponsor links below, that's what helps pay for classes like this and keeps SiliconDiscourse.com going. So the first question that has to be asked with any kind of starter kit is, what is the book like? Especially when you're talking about a starter kit for open source projects. This is something that I always keep in mind. I always take to heart, because as I talk about, my father was a PhD, or I guess is a PhD level engineer, and he used to bring home things like electronics projects for me when I was a kid. And there were just times it's like, Dad, I'm 8. I'm 8. What the hell does this even mean, right? And that's one of the problems you get to is a lot of times when people create starter books or starter projects or whatever, basically they say, I mean, really, Eli, anybody with their PhD in electrical engineering will be able to pick this up and understand exactly what's going on, right? So a lot of times when you're dealing with these starter books, they can be really high over people's heads, as in, yeah, if you have a bachelor's degree in engineering, you'll understand what's going on, but, a young person isn't going to understand what's going on. Or it may just be edited poorly or just very low quality. One of the issues we run into in the open source world is that so many people think man pages. It's not just that man pages are good enough. It's not like, well, if you don't have anything else, you can use the man pages. They look at man pages and go, who would want anything more than a man page? Man pages are the best things humanity can write. And you sit there and you're like, oh, golly, right? So that's a big question. Arduino being an open source hardware project, especially I think since it's a nonprofit, the question is what does this book kind of look like? And I was a little worried, honestly, when I bought it. But I do have to say, this is very well done. Apparently, they got some professional writers and some professional graphic artists and all that kind of stuff to create this. And it's good just all the way around. It's laid out very well. It's very easy to read. All of the diagrams and everything is very easy to understand. So I do have to say that the book is just very good. Like if you look at it, you can crack it open and you can see things. So here, I mean, you can see everything looks very nice. Everything looks very pretty. This isn't just like some weird ass Xerox book. Not only that, with the diagrams, you can see everything is laid out very well. So this shows you the diagram of the Arduino board. Then you have lines that go to text to explain to you everything that's going on with the Arduino board and why you should care about these specific things. As you go through and you look at the projects, here they give you the actual view of what the Arduino board should look like, how the breadboard should be set up, and then down here they give you the electrical diagram. So this is for normal humans to understand, and then this down here starts to give you an idea of what you're actually doing. So if you go through, you'll see the fonts are very nice, the colors very nice, everything is laid out. There were very few parts in here where I had to scratch my head and didn't understand what was going on. There were a couple, but with a project book this long, it's pretty easy. They give you these are the code snippets, so they show you, and that's a nice part too, is you'll see how they lay everything out. This is all the code for this particular project, but they lay it out. So okay, this is where you set up the integer, this is where you set up the long, these are where you set up this next batch of integers, and so it divides everything out, so it's much easier to read and to follow along with. So overall, I thought the book was just very well done. It's just a very, 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 very well done book, very colorful. And that's it. It's easy to follow, easy to read, and I think anybody, at least with high school education, should be able to follow this pretty well. Now, one of the questions that comes up, though, with it is some people have asked with this particular kit, is this a paint by numbers kit, or do you come out of this really feeling like you know Arduino? Eli, do you know Arduino now? And I do have to say, nah, not really. Once I get done with this video, I'm going to go to Micro Center and buy a couple more books. Basically, this is a paint by numbers book. Shows you the Arduino board. It shows you the components. It shows you how to do things. It doesn't in-depth explain why you're doing those things, and I don't feel like I come out of this with a deep knowledge of Arduino. What I feel like I come out of this with is an understanding of the capabilities of what Arduino can do. I come out of it feeling like I can implement those capabilities, but I don't feel like I have that deep understanding of what's going on. Basically, the way that I would explain it is, let's say I wanted to create an Arduino device that, based on the temperature, would turn on a fan. Here's the thing. I could go through and be like, okay, so the temperature project is here. All right, so I got to take some of that, and the fan project is here, or the motor project's here. So I'll take some of that. Okay, so I'll take some of that. I'll take some of that, and then basically super glue and duct tape something together, and it'll work. But one of the things you have to understand in the technology world is there is a difference between making something that's functional and understanding why it's functional. So I feel like coming out of this, I could create functional devices. I don't really feel like I know why they're doing what they're doing. It's like here, look. It does what you need it to do. Oh wow, cool, Eli. So explain to me what's going on here. It does what you need it to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say with the book. Very well done all the way around. It's good for what it's good for, but is paint by numbers. If you want to get something like more in depth, do what I'm going to do. Like literally when I get done with this video, go over and actually buy another book that's going to get more in depth in all the concepts. But this is something that's good. You can sit down, you can run through all the projects, you can see all the functionality, you can see whether or not you care about the Arduino. Is the Arduino the solution for you? When you sit there and you're doing all of it, you get an idea of what's going on, and then you can say, oh, yes, this is going to solve my clients, my boss's problems. Or you're going to go through and go, oh, yeah, no. How do you connect HDMI to this? Oh, you can't. Oh, never mind. This isn't good enough. So I think that's basically what you got to think about with the book. So that's my thoughts there. So now the question is what do the projects actually look like? So I did go through, again, I did all the projects within the book. Unfortunately, I realized after I did all the projects in the book, I should have documented it better. If you go over to the Eli Computer Guy live channel and you search Arduino over there, you'll see the different Arduino projects that I did and additional Arduino projects that I'll do as I continue. So you may want to go over there to take a look at the finished projects, but I figured I'd just show you some of the components and some of the things that you deal with to get an idea of what you learn how to do with the whole Arduino project book. Now, one of the good things with it is it does show you how to use a display. So this is an LCD display that you can connect to the Arduino board. And so this is a valuable thing if you're going to be creating IoT devices so that the device can actually tell you what the hell is going on. Yay! So they show you, like they do a magic 8-ball thing where you're able to shake the device and then it'll show you different messages depending on the switch that's triggered. So that's a pretty good thing. Along those lines, they give you, this is like a movement sensor. It's kind of hard to see. But basically what you do is you plug this into the breadboard, and if it feels any movement of the board itself, then it's able to trigger. So you get to learn how to use something like that. Shows you how to use transistors in order to use a switch, basically a if-then mechanism for being able to turn on motors and that type of thing. Shows you how to use IC chips, again, to trigger motors and other types of stuff. They give you photovoltaic cells. So the photovoltaic cells senses the light around the Arduino board, and then based on how much light is going into the Arduino board, that can trigger certain things to happen. They show you temperature sensors. So this is a valuable thing. Any sysadmins out there, anybody in data centers, this little tiny ass little thing right here might be like the most valuable part of this entire Arduino kit is they have the temperature sensors here, and so you learn how to use a temperature sensor in order to trigger things to happen. So you learn how to use a temperature sensor so you could either trigger like LED lights, a light to go off, or if you have an Arduino like a Wi-Fi shield or an Ethernet shield, you could trigger a network event to happen if the temperature goes too high. So this little thing right here may be completely worth it for any like sysadmins out there. Beyond that, it shows you how to use little buttons in order to create physical actions. It has a little piezo in order to have like little audio sounds. So again, we start talking. I really do have to say, this temperature sensor is probably the most valuable thing in the kit, this little 25-cent thing. But so if the temperature goes above a certain level, you could have your Arduino start emitting an audible sound so that you know that the server room is now above 90 degrees. So you could have an LED that goes off, and you could have the little audio alarm go off. That can be a valuable thing. They show you how to use servo motors. So servo motors can move up to 180 degrees. So basically, if you want to turn things, like physically be able to turn switches on or off, or basically be able to move to a specific place. So they give you an electric motor. So electric motors can be used for wheels. Electric motors can be used for fans, but they just constantly spin. They do a 360 degree. It's an electric motor. What's nice with this is you can set it to go to a specific position. So basically, you can set it to go to one position or another position or another position. So the way to think about it is if you're creating a vehicle, the electric motor is the wheels for the vehicle to get it go forward and backward. The servo would be for the steering wheel to be able to turn left or right. So you learn how to do that. And so these are some of the valuable things. They show you how to use LEDs. Not only do you get to play around with multiple normal LEDs, but they have a tricolor LED, so you can have an LED that can turn to multiple different colors depending on what's happening. So these are the different projects. If you go over and you take a look at the website, they get a little artsy crafty with this crap, to be honest. I mean, one of the negatives I would say is like a professional is they get a little artsy crafty, like love-o-meter, right? Measure how hot-blooded you are. Basically what this is a temperature sensor. Color mixing lamp, produce any color with a lamp that uses light as an input. So again, this is using the photovoltaic cells in order to change the colors of a tricolor LED. Motorized pinwheel, so you can create a pinwheel, but the more important thing here is being able to use a motor. So that's the only, like, that's the thing, is when you're looking at this as a professional, kind of take these as a grain of salt. I feel like they kidified these names and they kidified what these projects sound like. But if you can take away the childish names of the projects and realize what they're showing you, I think that's what the more significant thing is. So like the crystal ball, a mystical tour to answer all your tough questions. Basically, what the crystal ball is that's where you add the LCD screen to the Arduino, and then you also have that little motion sensor type thing, so that when you shake the Arduino, it then goes into a switch where it says it randomly says case 0, case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4, and then depending on those different cases, it will spit out an answer for you. So that itself is cheesy, but it's more understanding the concept that the Arduino can show you text display based off of certain criteria. I think that's the more valuable thing to take away from this. That's one thing, like I say, with the parts, I didn't bother with them, but yeah, that's where it's like with pinwheels and I don't know, they give you all this like artsy fartsy crap. Which I didn't worry about. Like there's this one thing where you learn how to turn you learn how to turn a motor on, then you learn how to reverse a motor using a button, and then you use a thing to be able to increase the speed or decrease the speed, and that's all supposed to be connected to this artsy fartsy crap. And yeah, basically I took the motor, I connected it in, I went, okay, that's forward, that's back, that's off, that's faster, that's slower. So that's the big thing. Like as an adult, kind of take that kid stuff and put it to the side. More what you need to be taking away is what does it mean. If you're running a motor for a pinwheel, yes, the pinwheel is stupid. Who the hell cares? But it might be valuable for running a motor for a fan. Right? Again, the whole servo thing, what they have in there might be stupid, but having a servo that literally flips a physical switch on and off. Like imagine, let's say you have an air conditioning unit in your data center, in your server room, not a data center, your server room, and that air conditioning unit can be turned on and off with a physical switch on the wall. So their project in here may look stupid as far as a servo is concerned, but if you understand a servo can move up and it can move down and it's high torque, so it actually has the strength to move a switch up and down, then what you realize is, oh, I can use an Arduino board, and when it triggers, when it senses that the temperature in a room is above 90 degrees, I can have the servo move to a specific position, which will then move that that switch on the wall, which will turn on the air conditioning. And then once it goes below 70 degrees, I can have the servo move to its original position, where it'll then turn off the switch on the wall. Again, don't look at it so much from like the kiddie kindergarten stuff. Look at it from, oh, that's what that means. Pinwheel, stupid. Turning air conditioners on and off, physically valuable. So yeah, the projects and all there, most of the projects are really good all the way around. So now the question is, what about all the other electronic parts that come with the kit? So it comes with the LCD screen, the motor, and all that. What other things do you get, like resistors and capacitors and all that kind of stuff? And I do have to say, they did a very good job with their selection of things that they give you. They do give you a lot of different stuff. Now, the one thing that I did dislike with this particular kit, just something if the Arduino folks are listening, is that so many of the boxes in this kit are kind of like these, kind of like raisin boxes where you open them up and then you have to dump everything out. Well, as you can see, I kind of feel like a kid with my Legos again. This is what ends up happening. I would say that if you're going to buy the Arduino kit, you may want to go to the hobby shop and buy some of those little plastic boxes in order to put parts in. Because if you don't do that, this is the mess you're gonna get. Which is kind of weird because this is the this is the box they give you for the electronic parts. And so the electronic parts come in this very nice little box, right? So you have the box, and then you open the box, and then you can get to your electronic parts. On the other hand, this is the wire box, right? So all of these little wires for your breadboard, in order to get to the wires of your breadboard, oh yeah. Yep, I definitely feel like an 8-year-old again, right? You got to dump all these out, and they're kind of small, and they can drop on the floor. It's a pain in the butt. I don't know why they didn't use more of these boxes. So I would say if you're going to be going for the kit, definitely buy some of those little hobby little boxes or whatever. Now, when you're dealing with this, what's really nice is they allow they give you all the parts to build this kind of like little work table thing. So you have this piece of wood here. On the wood, what you're able to do is you're able to tape down the breadboard. So the breadboard allows you to be able to stick electronic components in without having to solder them down, and then you're able to screw in the Arduino board. So what's really nice here is as you can see these wires. The nice part with the wires is they're already pre-bent. So all you have to do is if you want to connect the board, you just plug them in as such. And it makes it really nice and easy. You don't have a lot of wires hanging around, any of that kind of stuff. If you want to be able to plug in like an LCD or something, or an LED, all you do is you just slot it into the holes that you need to slot it into. So this is a very good kit overall. They give you a lot of different components here. So with a lot of starter kits, what they'll do is they'll only give you the amount of components that you absolutely need. What's nice with this is they give you just a whole pile of components, right? So you got all these wires here, obviously, and then like if you just go and you take a look at my messy little box here, we have just piles of resistors. So I've gone through all of the experiments so far, and you can see these are all the resistors I did not use. These are resistors I did not use. They have extra capacitors for you. They have extra diodes for you. They have just a crap ton of LEDs. You can see that in here. So they have all of these different things. They have the number of different photovoltaic sensors. So even though you only need like one at a time, they give you multiple photovoltaic sensors. If you go over and you take a look at the electronic parts, the same thing's true. I mean, they give you like 9 of these little push button switches for whatever reason, which is a surprising thing. They give you the potentiometer, they give you multiple potentiometers, and all of this kind of stuff. So overall, they give you not only the parts themselves pretty good, but they give you numerous parts. So when you want to do projects in the future, it's pretty easy to do. Now, one of the things, though, that I did dislike is they did a good job with a lot of components and then just seemed to, like, I don't know, go to lunch on others. So if you'll notice, like the LEDs are most of the electronic components. They have very, very long legs, almost stupidly long legs. But then this is the piezo. This is what emits a sound. And what you'll notice is this has very, very, very short legs. Now, that doesn't seem like a big deal, except for the fact that when you connect it to the breadboard. So when you're connecting it to the breadboard, you can only basically... all the dots here are connected in a row, but it only goes to the middle. So basically, this is the dividing line. This is one side, this is the other. And so when you go and you put the piezo in, the problem is when you connect it onto the board, you literally don't have any room for the other connections that you need to be able to connect into. So if you need to when you're trying to connect the power, it's very difficult to try to be able to connect the power around the piezo itself. And then there was one project in here that I was not able to complete, literally because you had to put something under the piezo, and like I say, it just falls off like that, so it doesn't connect very well. So that was a weird thing. It's a weird choice that this particular size, and then even if it is a particular size, why are the legs that short? That was weird. Then we ran into the problems with a potentiometer. So if you take a look at the potentiometer before I had to screw with it, so this is what the potentiometer looks like. And if you put it on the board, what you'll notice is it takes up an entire side of the board, which again makes it very difficult to put the wires under it so that everything connects properly. So what I had to do is I kind of had to bend the hell out of mine. And so this is the one that I was actually using for the project. And so when I bend the hell out of mine, I could get it so it only takes up half a side. But the problem is that the connectors are not as tight as they should be. So sometimes when I was doing projects, I would have to push down on the potentiometer in order to make sure the connections, everything was actually connected. So that was a pain in the butt. Which again, it just seems kind of weird. These are little 10, 25-cent parts at most. So I'm just not sure why they didn't use a 15 or 30-cent part instead of these things. The other weird thing too is where is the little this is the vibration sensor. So basically, if it detects a vibration, it goes from on to off. The other weird thing is if you look in the book, it looks like it's a two-prong sensor and that it's half the size of this. So when I was trying to find that kind of vibration sensor, it took me like 10 minutes because I was digging through this whole box of crap trying to find the vibration sensor that they showed me in the book, only to figure out, hey, this is the one thing that doesn't match anything else in the book. I wonder if this is the vibration sensor, and it ended up being this. So overall, in a lot of ways, this is good. So the wires is very, very easy for wiring things up. Most of this stuff is very good. This little workbench area is very nice. But they just did this weird, like, and you get this with all products. They're just like a couple of just weird decisions. Like literally these three, well, this they just need to modify. But basically these two decisions, because you use the potentiometer a lot. You actually use this quite a bit. And so these two decisions, just for an extra 5 or 10 cents, literally, would have made the whole thing a lot better, the whole experience better. But overall, it's still a good kit, and it's pretty easy to actually be able to use and configure when you're playing with things. So that's really all I have to say for the official Arduino starter kit. Overall, I give it a thumb up. I give it like a one thumb up, one thumb to the side. It's very good for what you get. It's good value, but it's not perfect. It's not perfect. It's got some tweaks with it. The project book is good. Again, this is very good for understanding the functionality of the Arduino and getting comfortable building things with the Arduino. But it is very much paint by numbers. By the time you get done, I don't feel like I have an in-depth understanding of the Arduino. I feel like I could go through here and super glue some stuff together. I will learn more, but that's the thing is it shows you that you can do things, so you get comfortable with the idea that you can do things and you want to learn more, but just realize you will have to learn more afterwards. They give you a whole bunch of cool functionality here to really show you some of the cool stuff that it can do. Again, it gives you the LCD, it gives you the servo motors, it gives you the motors, it gives you the photovoltaic cells, the temperature cells. I'm telling you, wherever that thing is, that little temperature sensor. I know you all think I'm joking. I know you're like, oh, ha ha ha. I'm telling you, that stupid ass little like 10-cent temperature sensor is probably the most valuable thing from a sysadmin standpoint in this whole thing. But they give you all these parts so you can go through, you can get an idea of how all this stuff works, and then if you understand that there are other shields that are available, then you can go and you get an Ethernet shield or a wireless shield or an LTE shield or servo shields, anything like that. I think that's the only other thing that I would have added to a kit like this. Is not necessarily a high value shield, but so shields are kind of like boards that go on top of the main Arduino board. And that's the one thing, they don't have any extra shields here. So I think that's, if I was in the Arduino company, I would think about adding a shield just so people get comfortable with the concept of a shield. Like, oh, okay, so I took a shield, I put the shield on, that shield allowed me to do X, Y, or Z. Okay, now I feel comfortable with shields. I think the lack of shields is the only thing in the kit that you don't get that I think would be a good thing. Again, it could be a cheap-ass shield, I don't know, a servo shield or something, a little $5 shield, but just so it gets you comfortable, like, oh, yep, that's how you install a shield, that's how you program for a shield, now I feel comfortable with shields. The shields is the one thing this doesn't really go into at all. So that would be the only thing I would add. The parts in here were good enough for most of it. Again, I like the wires. So the wires were good. The breadboard, this whole little workbench thing was a really good idea. Most of the parts were good. The issues that I came to, the main ones were simply, like I say, this piezo is just I don't understand there, and the potentiometer was kind of weird. And this is the kind of stuff where I feel like probably whoever was packing this stuff over at Arduino, probably, I don't know. It's Friday night. They want to go out for a beer. They're like, do I really have to put in the right size potentiometer? Screw it. I'll just throw in the ones we have. That's where I kind of feel because everything else is done so well. It's kind of weird. Like you've got this with the potentiometer. You got this piezo. The other thing, like the weird issue, and that's the thing is like with putting stuff on the breadboard is you just run into weird things. So this is the little vibration sensor. So when it vibrates, it goes from on to off. And if you look at it in the book, it shows it as a 2-wire, smaller device than this. So literally, I had to spend like 10 minutes digging through the electronic parts trying to figure out what the hell the vibration sensor was, and then realized, oh, it must be it. But then when I looked at the book and I plugged this in, it's like, yeah, but that doesn't look like what's in the book. So that's the thing. Is there's just a couple of parts, nitpicky stuff, but it's real. I don't understand why they just don't spend like an extra 50 cents not to have these issues, but they really are there. So that's really all I have to say for the Arduino starter kit. Overall, thumb and a half. We'll give it a thumb and a half. Definitely worth the. I think I bought it from Micro Center for about $85. I feel good with it. I feel so good and excited with it. I went out there and I bought myself a 4-wheel drive Arduino kit. So this is going to be one of the projects that we're going to be doing going in the future. It comes with like little sensors. It allows you to create a robot car. So I'm excited about that. So that is with this. I do feel like when you get done with this, you feel like, yep, I feel comfortable understanding that I can make the Arduino do what I wanted to do. I feel comfortable with the capabilities of the Arduino, and I feel excited going forward. But there's gonna be more work. But hey, it would be no fun. It would be if you could read one book and you understood everything. There's just no fun there. There's just no fun there. So it's a good thing all the way around. So with that, that's about all I have to say. As always, I enjoyed doing this video. If you want to join the conversation, ask me questions, have me respond to comments or anything else, you might want to think about joining SiliconDiscourse.com. Regardless, I look forward to seeing you at the next video.